Log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For the record with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Our next guest should soon be in the studio. Meanwhile, we're going to take Paul. Can we take a break? Not okay. Hopefully our guest will be in the studio soon. He's calling me now, but unfortunately I can't take the call while I have the mic in front of me. But we'll get that sorted out in a while. Meanwhile, we can talk about several things I could share with you. Yes, yeah. I could share with you the fact that Mr. Anton Borden did respond to the Trade Winds newspaper, their editorial. Okay, yeah, this is a good one for me to share with you because this is important as well. The 28th of October, 1965, and this is coming in October because at that time we had our elections in November, and the elections were in November, so the campaign then got real hot. This editorial says, "It is indeed disturbing to hear so often that votes in the Cayman elections are purchased by the distribution of rum and other commodities in advance of or during the elections. This is hard to credit in what essentially a sober, God-fearing community of rugged and responsible individuals. Surely, the results of an election cannot be influenced by a few irresponsible citizens who will succumb to such influences. It could only be if the masses of the voting public did not assume their responsibility of voting." So, what they're saying there basically is, yes, while a few will succumb and will accept gifts and bribes, whatever, we can only have a skewed election if the vast majority of the voting public were to act in such a manner. The editorial goes on to say that while we are not unduly critical of the present government, we join with those who recognize, and folks, this is in 1965, not 2021. So while we are not unduly critical of the present government, we join with those who recognize that there is room for vast improvement. Certainly, we do not advocate change for the sake of change, but we do most seriously urge a careful appraisal of the candidates who are offering themselves for election and hope that the most able, the most honest, the most progressive candidates will succeed, and that automatically excludes those who endeavor to quote-unquote buy votes by serving liquor or otherwise tempting or persuading voters to support them by equally nefarious means. Every example of such practice should be reported, and the most righteous measures applied to ensure that those responsible for such practices are punished, and if candidates disqualified, and if candidates disqualified. Meanwhile, the mass of responsible voters must cast their ballots for the more able candidates who wouldn't think of stooping to use such devices. In our view, those candidates who are prepared and pledge to put first things first should be overwhelmingly supported. The Cayman Islands are enduring great suffering because those who have sat in the legislative bodies in the past have failed to make adequate provisions for education. It is nonsense to say that teachers are unobtainable. I'm going to pause there. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we will have former Minister, former Member of Parliament, Mr. Wayne Panton, in the studio with us. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
I grew up in a Canadian village with a general store that had just about anything you could ever need. That's what I'm reminded of every time I go into West Bay Pharmacy. It's not just because it's well stocked with necessities and oddities, but also because it's like our community hub. The staff treat customers like friends. Ron and the team of pharmacists have kept my family patched up and flu-free for years, and there are usually a few good laughs mixed in. They are truly taking care of my health and my family's health. West Bay Pharmacy is the very best of Cayman kind.
There's nothing like the smell of freshly baked bread. The warm, inviting aroma, the fresh and natural taste, just like homemade. 100% all-natural, additive-free bread.
Enjoy fresh and natural-tasting bread from the iconic Caribbean Bakery. Always delivered fresh to your favorite supermarkets island-wide. Forget the imported frozen and thawed and enjoy our freshly baked selection of quality breads and pastries.
Try our classic white and wheat sandwich breads, coconut and raisin breads, hamburger and hot dog buns, and a great selection of pastries. Feed your family fresh with Caribbean Bakery.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Now is your chance for big savings on all GE appliances at Bransauce Home Gallery. Bransauce needs to make room for more stock, so that means big savings for you. Save $600 on GE front load launch repairs and save $800 on double wall ovens and French door smart refrigerators. Save on dishwashers, ranges, microwaves, cooktops, wine coolers, and more. Now through Saturday the 27th at Bransauce Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Don't miss this chance for big savings on all GE appliances. Hurry in today.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is now my pleasure to introduce Mr. Wayne Panton, former Member of Parliament, former Minister. He is now a candidate in the upcoming April 14th general elections. He's seeking to represent the electoral district of Newlands in our parliament. Mr. Panton, good morning, sir. I'll say welcome back to For the Record, even though it's been a while since you were here last.
It has been a while, Jose. OC. But I'll tell you what, it was always a pleasure coming to join you, and it's a pleasure to be back again. And, you know, I'm looking forward to many more occasions when we have the opportunity to talk about the issues that are important to people, both in the constituency of Newlands as well as the Cayman Islands in general.
Certainly. And the country is at a crossroads at this point in time. So many challenges and so many good things happening as well.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no way that anybody can deny that we have been very blessed as a country, and we are very grateful for the things that have been done right. You know, the assistance and the advice that we have gotten from the UK has been implemented without what we have seen around the world in other places, without the political nonsense, you know. And as I would have predicted to anybody, you know, the leadership would take a very conservative approach to these things and do the right thing. And I can tell you that during the process last year, you know, when we were the country was going into lockdown and whatnot, there were a lot of people who were approaching me, sending me messages, saying, "Look, you have contact with, you know, with the the government, you have contacts with the leadership. You need to influence them. We need to do this. We need to do that. And it was all around reopening. It was all around, arguing that we were killing the economy. And, I said to some of these folks, look, you some of the same things that I think you probably heard the Premier say at different points. If we don't have people who are healthy, you don't have an economy.
Yeah, exactly.
70% of our economy is based on domestic consumption. And how are you going to have that kind of economy going on strongly if you don't have people who feel that they're healthy and feel that they're safe, So, yeah, those are things that that we're very grateful for across the board for all levels of involvement and engagement. And certainly I don't want to leave out the wonderful people who are involved in public health themselves,
yes.
The HSA, all those people all of the medical personnel in Cayman, I think, need to be congratulated. And, at the end of the day, one of the most important contributors to our success in dealing with the pandemic situation has been the people of the Cayman Islands, our fellow citizens, and ourselves, that we took this situation seriously, and we made sure that we complied with the rules, complied with the requirements, and that's all those factors have been. If you look around the world, all those factors have been critical to the success of any country that has managed to do well. And let's face it, there's very, very few countries that we can say that about. Yep. Even some of the major developed countries that have some of the best healthcare systems, that have some of the best people in the world who are qualified to speak on public health issues and qualified to give the best advice, they have messed up. Yep. Even the UK, the UK has been a success story lately in terms of their approach to their approach around vaccines. They did that right, but the earlier parts around dealing with lockdowns, dealing with public health, trying to prevent transmission, those they got badly wrong. But that just shows you that it was the politicians trying to implement political or inject political considerations into really strictly public health considerations. So very grateful for that, but that doesn't detract from the fact that we still have a lot of problems, a lot of issues that we need to be concerned about.
Okay, we do have a caller. You want to take a caller now?
Sure.
Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Do you have a question or a point for Mr. Panton? Good morning, caller.
Yeah.
Good morning, caller. We're having some technical difficulties, with that caller as well. I'm sure that many of our listeners are curious to know some of your reasons for re-entering politics. I don't know if you want to share that.
Absolutely,
with her.
Absolutely. I think people are entitled to know that.
Yes.
So, see, I think most people will know. People who know me will know that I had a long career in the private sector. I'll take this off for the moment.
Sure.
I had a long career in the private sector, and that was very engaging. That was very interesting. It was very rewarding. I loved, being able to build a business, being a part of an organization that created opportunities for my fellow Caymanians, that saw them be able to flourish in great careers. I love being involved with the training and development of my fellow Caymanians and just people in general, But, I left. I retired early. I think most people know my personal circumstances around that. Nothing to do with professional issues. It was personal.
Sure.
And I found that getting involved with politics the human side of politics and interacting with people and understanding what their concerns and issues were and trying to find solutions to help the greatest number of our citizens, of our residents and citizens. That to me was some of the most rewarding work that I'd ever done in my life, and I think that's one of the major things that has sort of brought me back. I'm still a relatively young man. I'm probably healthier now than I was back then. I think you may remember I used to suffer greatly from gout, which is a debilitating, inflammatory arthritis disease, and several years ago I managed to overcome that. Great. So I am now able to, sprightly walk around and go and do things and be very energetic without having all those issues. So I feel, and I see the need for people with experience. I see the need for people with integrity to get back involved with public service, because that we do have lots of challenges. Even prior to the pandemic situation, we had lots of challenges that we're developing, and it's largely a result of policies which don't reflect a significant degree of planning. We cannot just have unchecked growth and development without having and expect that that's going to benefit our people automatically and in the right ways, without having a real plan around how to achieve that, and without being able to measure our progress along that plan, so that we have end goals in sight, and we have to constantly evaluate and review what those goals are and where you are in regard to those. So, and we need to check to see if we're on the right path to achieving what we need to for the people of the country, for our communities. And anyway, I like I say, it's a personal thing. I've been blessed to be in a position where I can do this not as a job, but as something that's driven from a position of conviction, of a desire and a passion to serve my country. I think my family, my grandfather was and his one of his brothers, they all seemed to be involved heavily in public service in the past. He died long before I was born, so I never did get the chance to meet him. But I mean, the street that goes straight down from the now Parliament building is called Albert Pannon Street, and that was my grandfather. Yep. To be honest, I hadn't really thought about it and thought about the significance of that until a month ago. I was thinking about it, and I thought, it's just incredible that the street that goes straight to Parliament. I mean, now half of it goes both ways. Right? It used to be one way going the other way away from it. But yeah, it's all these little things, including my desire to give back to the country and give back to a situation that I benefited so greatly from. Certainly.
We have 3 callers, so what we're going to do, we're going to try to take the 3 calls before we go to the next commercial break, and then give you an opportunity to respond to them as well. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Question or point for Mr. Panton.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, morning, Mr. Panton. Elvis McKeown here from the back.
Good morning, Mr. Elvis. How are you?
I say, you was one of the members that drafted the new legislation for the expansion of the marine parks and things, right?
Well, I did a lot of public consultation around that, as you probably remember.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Yeah, sir. I know.
So yes, I was involved in a lot of it, but I can't say that I can't take credit for the final version of it, but a lot of the work that was involved with it, I was responsible for.
Sir. All right, thank you for that. Now, what in that all of the consultation thing that you've done, why is it that none of the politicians would say that if you're on a permit or you're a visitor, you can't take a marine life? Answer that for me. And another thing, I know you was one of them that legalized the medicinal marijuana.
Yes, sir.
And way it is now, after 4 years, and you want to get back again, if you are elected this term, will you legalize marijuana for commercial and recreational use? Yes or no?
Okay.
Or tell me your reason why. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller.
Okay.
We'll grab the other call and then we can answer all of them
Alrighty.
from the commercial break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Question or point for Mr. Panton?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, this doesn't really directly go to you, but it was the caller, the guest before. I just wanted to, I heard him use he quoted the eagle and the snake, but I also want everybody to remember that it is a generation of vipers. And when everybody is using the things that are oppressing people as their gain to get a vote, you have to remember that the things that the older people like in me, in my 40s, late 40s, weathered, the younger generation is not going to weather it. Mm-hmm. And so making all of these promises to a generation of vipers is going to be something that that everybody's going to have to answer to in a hard way, because when you look around, the island is peaceful. It is a good place to live and work. I agree. But at the end of the day, when those vipers get out and these things that are promising to their household, and the poorer people are keep on being left behind when the actual time comes, you're going to find that you're going to find more guns, more drugs, because these people are going to have to do stuff illegally to survive, because they're always left behind. So eventually, as time to come, maybe I may be gone off this world by then, but you have to remember it's a generation of vipers. So making these promises, all these campaigns, making these promises to this younger generation to gain votes and not fulfill them, they're leaving a generation of vipers behind. And so if the poor people are always left behind, you're generating more criminality. So people that going around using the things that are oppressing people, cost of living, wages, and then when the time comes, it's not fulfilled. Mm-hmm. It's going to be damaging to many people in time to come.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. I think we understand exactly what you're saying there. Let's grab the last caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Good morning.
Good morning, my good friend Wayne Panton. O.C.
Good morning.
If I can have the pleasure, as a voter of Newlands in that constituency, I want to publicly call in to endorse my friend as a candidate for the constituents of Newlands, and I want to implore all of the voters in Newlands to cast their vote on the 14th of April for an outstanding gentleman, someone who, as he said, is selfless. He's not doing this for personal gain. Never has there been a candidate in a long, long, long time that has come forward that really can say that, if he wanted to donate his salary that he would get as a minister, that he could do so. But I want to endorse publicly Mr. Wayne Panton, outstanding, consistent. If you can find a candidate who is consistent in his mannerisms, in his outgoings and incomings, as Mr. Wayne Panton, I implore, and I have found that in him, I implore all the voters of Newlands to think hard when you go to the polls on the 14th of April. Think hard of all the other candidates that you have out there in that constituency. But I encourage and implore you to vote for Mr. Wayne Panton, an outstanding gentleman and someone who will do us proud all the time, all the time, all the time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you very much, caller, for that. We have about 4 minutes before we go to our break. So,
I'd like to thank the caller very much. I really truly appreciate that. Mm-hmm. I don't like necessarily being the center of attention, but this is how politics is. Unfortunately, you have to draw distinctions, and you have to sort of promote yourself. But yeah, I mean, I very much appreciate that. So let me go back to the first question that was posed by Mr. McKeever. Elvis McKeever, just to be clear. And he's a gentleman that I respect. He's running a very interesting campaign. I think sometimes, you need people who are coming from a real grassroots perspective to share their views and to give people a voice that perhaps don't have a voice. On his point on the marine parks, I think his question was around whether Caymanians, whether we could limit fishing, for example, to Caymanians, or the take of stuff to Caymanians. And I can say that back in, I think it was around, I don't remember when the law was actually changed, or now we call them acts, but it was the law back then. I don't remember when the law was changed, but sometime prior to 2010, prior to the coming into effect of the Bill of Rights, there was a change to the Marine Parks law, which basically, or what was it called, the Marine Conservation Law, I think it was called at the time. That there was a provision that was included there, which basically limited fishing to Caymanians or those non-Caymanians who had a license to fish. And I think DOE had, Department of Environment had, through their enforcement efforts, they had a case where they detected someone who was catching lots of small fish, and the minimum size fish is that you're allowed to take is 10 inches, right? And they detected significant breaches around that, and the individual did not have a license either. And my understanding is that when they went to prosecute that case, the conclusion from the judge who was presiding at the time was that with the imminent coming into effect of the Bill of Rights, that that individual or that kind of prosecution would effectively be against or in breach of their human rights. So I think the judge effectively convinced the prosecution at the time to withdraw that or those charges in relation to that. And then because of that, the approach that was taken with the new marine conservation law drafting was to take out or not include specific provisions in relation to licensing for non-Caymanians. So I came along in 2013, got elected, and I was the Minister for the Environment. And I took the draft law that we were dealing with at the time. I did raise that issue, and I said, well, I'm not sure I agree that we can't discriminate in this way. I think that should be possible. And in fact, as I went along dealing with the law, I had discussions with the government legal department and senior people there along the question of whether we could discriminate in that way, whether we could require non-Caymanians to have licenses. And I think the view ultimately was that it was legitimate to do that.
Section 16 of our Constitution.
Right. Yeah. So we could legitimately do that. And the discussion then with the Department of Environment was along the lines of, should we include a specific provision like this? We then decided that it was possible to do it through regulations.
Okay.
So the plan was to implement that subsequently through regulations. And it's something that I think we need to do, because we know we have so many different nationalities here, so many different cultures. And I personally, as somebody who spends or tries to spend as much time out on the water as possible, I haven't been particularly successful with it particularly since I was involved with government, but I've observed a lot of breaches where we have problems with that, and we can't afford to have our small reef fish decimated. So these types of things, I think, need to be implemented. So I agree with Mr. McKeever on that point. We should move in that direction and implement a license for non-Caymanians to try to restrict and control the activity around there.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. A conversation with Mr. Wayne Panton, a candidate in the upcoming April 14th general elections. He's seeking to represent the electoral district of Newlands in our parliament. So please stay tuned. We will continue our conversation with him after this short commercial break.
Did you know that defective airbags can cause serious injury or even death if not repaired immediately? Right now, millions of vehicles around the world are under recall for faulty Takata airbags, and yours could be one of them. At Vamt Motors, our priority is to make sure the Toyota or Ford you drive is safe. So we are offering customers a free, fast, and easy airbag swap out if your vehicle was manufactured in 2016 or earlier. Find out if you need to have new airbags installed by emailing your Ford or Toyota vehicle's VIN or vehicle identification number to service@vampmotors.com or stop by Vamp's Service Center or call us at 949-2245. Don't risk it. Get the airbags in your Toyota or Ford checked for free at Vamp Motors on Walkers Road.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
Green Turtle. Modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today, it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
There's nothing like the smell of freshly baked bread. The warm, inviting aroma, the fresh and natural taste. Just like homemade. 100% all-natural, additive-free bread.
Enjoy fresh and natural tasting bread from the iconic Caribbean bakery. Always delivered fresh to your favorite supermarkets island-wide. Forget the imported frozen and thawed and enjoy our freshly baked selection of quality breads and pastries.
Try our classic white and wheat sandwich breads, coconut and raisin breads, hamburger and hot dog buns, and a great selection of pastries. Feed your family fresh with Caribbean Bakery.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Mr. Wayne Panton, former minister, former member of Parliament, who is now seeking to represent the electoral district of Newlands in our Parliament. He is a candidate in the upcoming April 14th general elections. Mr. Panton, we also note that you have on your team two additional candidates running one in Savannah and one
Correct.
in Bordentown East,
Correct.
As well. Do you want to talk about those candidates and your reasons for those choices?
Sure, OC. But let me because we took calls earlier, and there was one
more.
question
Okay,
that wasn't dealt with.
The medical,
and I want to be fair to Mr. McKeeva and just respond on that. Yes, I was part of the government that dealt with that. Yes, I was one of the people who felt strongly that the medical marijuana option should be available for a number of reasons. I mean, I thought it was palliative. I thought it helped across a multitude of levels, and even for people who have mental health issues and stuff, I think it's helpful. So I was in support of that. He's asking about decriminalization.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be clear, I am not in favor of wholesale legalization. In other words, no consequences for the use of marijuana. My reason for that is that I'm very concerned about its potential effects on very young people, very very young children. But I feel very strongly that the way that we have dealt with this situation over time has left too many of our young people with reputational issues, with inability to get jobs, and they are effectively labeled as weed heads and people that shouldn't be deserving of respect and dignity. And listen, I can tell you from interacting and speaking to so many young people particularly over the last few years, a lot of them are self-medicating, when they use marijuana, and it does help a lot of them. It helps them deal with their own stresses, their own anxieties, and we've just had a year. It's even worse now. We've had a year of the pandemic. We've had a year of lockdowns. We've had a year of parents and even the young people losing their jobs. All of that. That's some of the parent stress gets transferred to them. They haven't been able to have a normal school life. So there is a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety and a lot of serious mental health concerns around our young people. And some of them are utilizing, marijuana as a self-medicating approach. And it does help them, I think. They tell me it helps them. It helps them cope. So I am not in favor of our current approach of criminalizing, the use by young people of a personal amount, a little spliff or something like that. I don't see the point of throwing young people in jail and starting them down that path, because that's one way to really introduce them to a system of criminality as well, because the lots of people that are in jail that they end up meeting are highly influential people, and they're criminal elements that you don't want your young people exposed to. You want them to take a different path. Yes. And also, I can tell you, I've, like Michael Miles has this Inspire K-Man program, and I've been trying to, I've been sort of sponsoring some young people to go to that. And I've this one guy in particular that I've been trying to help for a while. He goes there, and then I get a call saying he hasn't come to school. What's going on? So I try calling his number. I can't get him. I said, well, let me call his mom. And I call his mom, and then I find out that he has been picked up for, I think he was being monitored for marijuana consumption, and he's been picked up and thrown in jail for a couple of days because he failed one.
Okay.
These types of things, when you're trying to help somebody, that the system that's fighting their ability to improve themselves and have a better future, I just don't think it works. We have to change our approach with it. So yes, I'm in favor of decriminalizing the small possession. I mean, for God's sake, if we can have alcohol, to me alcohol is just as bad or worse in many cases. And I'm just not in favor of a system which almost has failed in our approach with young people, and tends to make them worse rather than better. So I'm halfway there in terms of Mr. McKeeva's approach. As for commercial application and all that sort of thing, I think my concerns are around unregulated use, which very young people can get onto, and I think I have friends with a lot of psychologists and a lot of clinicians that are experts in these things, and they tell me that they have very significant concerns around the impact on particularly on the developing minds of young men. So I'm, I can't ignore that concern. But in general, I think our approach hasn't been working, and it needs to change in terms of small amounts for our 18 to 20-year-old people that are ending up going down the wrong path because of it.
Okay. We're gonna we have one more caller, so what we'll do, we'll grab that call, go to the commercial break, and then we'll make that the last call for the morning, and we can get back on track if you don't mind.
Sure.
Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Question or point for Mr. Panton? Good morning, caller.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Panton, good morning.
Good morning, dear.
I had that flower thing made up, and then you just throw the basket at me. But anyhow, I am punishing under that situation there called Gancher, the holy herb from Jamaica. Mr. Panton?
Yes, ma'am.
Every day I punish with that, and you remember that situation, and you remember Charlene's situation. I'm calling my name. I don't care. I never raised them so, and I don't expect it to be so. So I talk to it. I am punishing Mr. Panton. You never raised up with it, and you're grown, and I'm grown and old, and I never raised up with no do this and do that and do the next thing. I am punishing. Plenty families punishing, but they won't talk, and plenty of them rest in their eternal home just because of that. So think carefully, sir. Anyhow, that was, I didn't call for that. I listened to you, sir, answering you. But anyhow, sir, what I'm talking about right now, more important right now, is the system of scholarship being awarded going forward. Should you make it on the 24th? Somebody who has moxie is number one, and somebody who has knowledge is number two, and somebody who has a passion for their people really needs to look at that system of scholarship and laws and all that kind of regulations, blah, blah, blah. Because sometimes, sir, it is hard on your generational humanities. I know the system can get easier, but it can get easier at a time when everybody can participate, and the generational Caymanian will still be at the bottom of the pile. And I'm telling you, sir, something needs to be done to look into the system of how this, not even how the awarding is going, but how the process, how the administration is going. Because it's bad right now for some people. Not might be fair about, but for some people, it is bad right now. It is a matter of calling, and you can't be assured of anything. Every day is a new day, and every day is a new panic. So that, sir, please, when you get in, do something about it, please. And I want you in. Because we don't need about a hop in the fence 20 times a year. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much,
Ms. Charlene.
We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation will continue with Mr. Wayne Panton. We're going to close the phone lines off because there are several important things that he wants to cover as well. And we're going to be finished around about 5 minutes after 10 o'clock this morning. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Did you know the third most important factor for customer retention is cleanliness? With 95% of shoppers saying exterior appliance influences where they decide to shop. Keep your business clean with Roper's Janitorial. From offices to restaurants, interior and exterior, walls to rugs and flooring. Roper's cleans it all, including 24-hour emergency service. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511 or email janitorial@ropers.ky. Dress your business for success with Roper's Janitorial. We make your business shine. 949-2511. Roper's, providing products and services for better public health.
Now is your chance for big savings on all GE appliances at Brandsource Home Gallery. Brandsource needs to make room for more stock, so that means big savings for you. Save $600 on GE front load launch repairs and save $800 on double wall ovens and French door smart refrigerators. Save on dishwashers, ranges, microwaves, cooktops, wine coolers, and more. Now through Saturday the 27th at Brandsource Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Don't miss this chance for big savings on all GE appliances. Hurry in today.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning former Minister, former Member of Parliament, Mr. Wayne Panton. He is running in the electoral district of Newlands in the upcoming 14th of April general elections as well. Mr. Panton, back over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, O.C. Yeah, you touched earlier on my the platform that we're running on, yes, and my colleagues in Savannah and Bodden Town East. So, our approach was to come up with something which truly reflected what we feel is significant and important from a single member constituency, and that is building communities, right? If we're not building communities, if we're not addressing the needs of our communities, and if we're not focused on our communities, then we're failing as representatives. Yes, I learned that in the past, my past service, I spent a lot of time as a minister. I worked very hard for the country. I had to travel around, represent the country, represent financial services in particular. And I think I did that successfully. But at the end of the day, people don't vote for ministers. They vote for representatives that they can see and that are making a difference on the ground in their constituency. And I think the three of us, myself and Heather Bodden and Osmond Bodden, both understand that very well. And we have, our platform is Community Creates Country. And that implies, obviously, that without strong communities, we don't have a strong country. It also implies that we, through focusing on our communities, we can end up serving our country as well, in our capacity as a community representative, constituency representative, as well as at a national level. Obviously, all three of us have experience as former legislators.
Yes.
Mr. Bodden and I are former ministers, and I have worked with him. I know him. I know his capabilities. I know his passion in particular. So it was an easy thing for me to say yes. Let's do this together. So our focus is very much on our communities. But that's not to say we're ignoring the national issues. Because clearly there's lots of national issues that are applicable across the board that we have to be a part of as well.
And I was going to ask the question then, with your focus on communities, does that rule out the fact that if elected and if you were requested or approached to be a part of a government and be a minister, would you still accept that?
Yeah, I mean, we are certainly, particularly because of our experience. I mean, my private sector experience and my experience in government, and the same with Mr. Bodden, we are both eminently qualified to perform at any level of government, and we're certainly not going to turn down the opportunity to serve our country, both at a constituency level as well as at a national level as a part of government. That's absolutely our perspective. But that's not to say that we are going to make the same mistake that we made last time.
Yes.
In fact, we have committed that we are going to spend at least half of our time focused on constituency issues. We are going to make sure that, and I have had an office along with Heather Bodden in Savannah, right behind the Wendy's franchise there in Savannah for the last 4 years. and we have been serving our communities from there. We end up, there people come from all over the island because they know that the office is going to be open. They know they can find help there, and they can find people who can give them guidance. Whether it's just signing documents, or whether it's advising on some legal issues, or whether it's whether it's connecting with NEU and that type of thing. We're there, and we have been. So yes, our view is across the broad spectrum, both at a community level, constituency level, as well as nationally. That's certainly the case. But we will never lose the focus that our first priority has to be addressing constituency level issues. So we will have properly staffed offices. I have an office right now with Heather that is staffed, and it will continue to be staffed. It will be serving the needs of constituents. I noticed that the constituency allowance, when I was in government, the constituency allowance back then was $3,000, and per person or per member. I never saw a cent of that. I always assigned that check straight over to the PPM that I was a part of then.
Okay.
But what I have noticed is that they increased it to $4,000, then they've now increased it to $5,000 a month. But yet we see a lot of people, a lot of members who do not have their own offices and do not have their own staff. So you have to ask yourself, what in the world is happening to the $5,000 a month, and how is that? Where is the accountability around that? Because if it's supposed to help with providing your services to the people, then why should there not be some basic amount of accountability around that? Yes. But anyway, be that as it may, to me, I just see it as if I'm a minister and I have a salary, or I'm a senior member of government, I have a salary, and I have a constituency allowance of that kind of level, that just gives me much more options that I can help my community. I can do projects in my community. I can do incredible things with the Joanna Clark primary school or Savannah Primary School, as we typically know it. And I want that school which has had some quite bad, weak ratings more recently. I want that to return to being one of the top primary schools in the country, something that's befitting of being named after an icon like Miss Clark. And not just because of that, not just because I want it to be befitting of her, but I want it to be able to deliver fundamental educational services and levels of student attainment for our people in Savannah, our children in Savannah, our families in Savannah and Newlands, and whatever the catchment area is for the whole of it. So yes, we're all going to be working together. We're all seeking to deliver a consistent community, our constituency level services. We're focused on recreational issues. We're focused on upgrading the parks. There are some parks that have never been. And when you do these developments, you have the land for public purposes that are set aside. Some of them are just grown up bush.
Yes.
So all these things need to be addressed. The parks that were done probably about 12 years ago now, they have just deteriorated. So from last year, I've started working on upgrading them, basically cleaning them up. I've had to take down some of the equipment that was really a serious danger to kids now, and that equipment will be replaced with more modern equipment that provides great facilities and recreational services for kids. Thinking about in some of the parks, including like fitness trails and stuff for adults, and we have a lot of retirees around, and they're at home a lot, and they can even assist with helping the kids and watching kids in these parks and just keeping a general eye on what's going on. Okay. So the recreational stuff, the parks for all to enjoy, and then making sure that the facilities are there. That for example, where we are, we're generally 15 minutes away from an ambulance, at least. I want to have things like the automatic external defibrillators. I want a community that has a lot of the community emergency response team members that are certified and trained in the use of things like AEDs, so that if we have one of our constituency members that unfortunately has, and it can happen to young people, it can happen to the elderly and retirees as well, and it can make the difference between life and death for them, because 15 minutes is a very long time. Usually when you have an issue with a cardiac related issue, 5 or 6 or 7 minutes is sort of the golden period in which you can make a difference. And if we can have people around who are 4 or 5 minutes away and who can come and set up one of these AEDs, it makes a huge difference.
Okay.
So, that's a health and safety approach. We want to deal with safety issues as well. We've got all these. We have a lot of fibers being run into the various communities. There's no reason why we can't utilize that, work with some of these fiber companies. The question is, and they will allow us some fiber, some strands to be able to feed CCTV and stuff, and we just have to address potential power issues. Maybe that can be resolved with a solar power a panel attached. I don't know, but we have to look at all these things because we have a lot of concerns around people that are coming into the communities, making people feel unsafe, walking around at night, and that takes it to another point, which is we need some better lighting in certain areas to make sure that there aren't any dark spots where people can go around and move about without being detected.
Before you leave, one of our listeners wanted to know, how much will your reliance be on advisory district councils to assist you to offer advice?
Yeah, that is one of the first things that needs to be done. We need to finally put in place these constitutionally discussed and directed district councils. As you know, OC, the current law relating, or current act, whatever it is relating to that, sort of talks about or contemplates that they would be appointed by cabinet. The members be appointed by cabinet, and I don't think that was what was originally intended. I think originally it was intended that there would be some sort of very local elections around that, and I want to see that sort of thing get set up and get in place. Now, it may be that we have a transition. It may be that we do it initially with putting people in place to get it set up and get the administration going. Okay. And then, say within 6 months, then we transition over to a revised approach where we have local elections. But those things are important. We need to get people engaged and involved. And there are people who want to do it. There are community-minded people who will get involved and do it. And that sort of thing is going to help immensely with community spirit, with unity, and addressing the issues. Because the people who live in the district understand the issues. I live in the middle. I live in the heart of my district. I walk around all the roads. I've walked every road in Newlands. I ride my bicycle around. In fact, the last time I rode my bicycle, I actually crashed on it and skinned up my hands because of a bad part in the road. So, these are issues that nobody has to tell me about. I see it, I feel it,
you live it,
right? I live it. And I want to make sure that we have a consistent approach across our community and the same thing for Savannah and Boddentown East. I think my colleagues certainly want the same approach. Savannah and Newlands are kind of an interesting set of communities in that we are very well integrated and connected. And in fact, there's one interesting thing that there's a part of Savannah that you can only access by going all the way into the back of Newlands, to the north end of Newlands, and turning, and then you can then go back to the south to get into Savannah. Yes. So those folks that live in there, they're constantly saying, "Hey, I vote for you, and I'm supporting you." And I said, "Well, which road do you live on?" And they say, well, I go down Eldon Street. I say, yeah, but which road do you live on, right? Because you have to access this area through Eldon Street. But when you get to the intersection of Eldon Street and a road called Brightside, if you turn right, you're going back into Savannah. Right? If you turn left, you're still in Newlands.
Okay.
But so it's a very interesting thing. But anyway,
some closing comments from you.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think our platform is focused, as I said, on community development. That is going to take a priority for us. We are concerned with making sure that we address all the major issues that face everybody, particularly in the east side of the island. So one of our big problems is traffic. I mean, that's what I suffered from this morning trying to get down here to you. I thought I left home in time to get here. But these are the types of things that reduce our quality of life. And that's the thing that we are focused on, doing everything we can, in community enhancement, community beautification, recreational facilities, the parks, addressing all the service needs, addressing situations or contributing to addressing situations like traffic that reduce our quality of life. And we know that the path that we're on with development, which is unplanned and unrestricted, is not going to serve us well at the end of the day. Our Caymanian kids in particular are feeling like they are disenfranchised. They feel like they're losing the opportunity to just live in their own country. And that cannot be allowed to happen. We need to put in place things that control real estate prices, that we need to put in place facilities and initiatives and programs that allow them to participate and not feel like they're losing the ability to be involved and live a life and contribute and raise a family in their own country.
Excellent. Folks, that was Mr. Wayne Panton, former Member of Parliament, former Minister. He is seeking election to represent the electoral district of Newlands in our upcoming April 14th general elections, and we look forward to hearing more from Mr. Panton on For the Record. I want to thank you all. Have a great day, and as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
Community radio with a different appeal. The voice of the people. Security through adversity. Stuck on you. Radio for all time.
You're listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.